Hey guys, I just am realizing that last week I posted discussion grades and I meant to kind of recap some of the comments that were made in it was the chapter 18 and chapter 19 discussion, so week 13. So I know you're past this, but maybe you'll go back and watch this video. I just had a few comments. I appreciate all of the personal sharing that was done during that week 13. There was like one or two discussions that had to do with a mercury in fish during pregnancy, which thank you guys for those that did that. The rest of you, it seemed focused on breastfeeding, the chocolate milk debate, and then BMI testing in schools. So those are super kind of hot topics. So what I really wanted to say was that I appreciate you sharing your opinions, because sometimes, it's a little tricky to share an opinion and hear feedback from other people that maybe don't agree or do agree. And I think that's kind of important especially in our time currently, in our current culture. It's important to be able to discuss topics that we disagree or agree upon in a very polite and respectful manner. So one, I appreciate that. Two, I had some perspectives that I wanted to share with you also. So I appreciate the breastfeeding topic and those that shared their thoughts there. Breastfeeding is super tricky. We all kind of have our thoughts as moms, going into pregnancy and then having the infant, what we would like to do, or maybe we don't. And then that happens, and then you have to make a decision. And sometimes we want to breastfeed and we can't, and it's harder than we anticipated. Sometimes we have jobs, so we have to attend to our other children. So in the end, fed is best, in my opinion. Breastfeeding is far superior, though, and scientifically, breastfeeding is far superior, and there is no debate about that. Breast milk is a perfect natural formulation for what the baby needs as the baby is born and then grows to be 1 and 2 years old. So breast milk is unique in that nature, that it changes over time to fit the needs of the age of the infant. So that is super interesting, I think. And I teach a infant nutrition class, which we talk about that as well. So breastfeeding is very unique and unique to the mom and the baby and the situation. So fed is best, in my opinion, but breast milk is superior food for any infant that is born. So there you go. There's my thoughts there. I breastfed both my children, and it was not easy. Neither were easy. The first one was very difficult. Latching was hard. The second one never took a bottle, and I was, toting him around forever because he refused to go anywhere without me. So there's always there's two sides to every situation, for sure. But we made it through, and now they're 14 and 11. So it's amazing how fast it goes. Lastly, second to last, was the chocolate milk debate. I agree with that. I don't think chocolate milk is the problem. I think that really that starts at home, right? So if we're discussing food culture, food accessibility, food sustainability, that starts at home. So if people don't have access to good food, they're not going to learn about good food. They're going to have poor food habits at home. And then the access that they have at school, it probably isn't the chocolate milk. It might be the chicken nuggets and the pizza and all the other not so great items that kids are served at school too. So hopefully here in Colorado next year, we have that healthy lunch initiative that's passed and will be free lunch for all kids. We'll see what happens with that, but that's an interesting topic because there's a lot more that goes on with food habits and access to food than just what's happening at school. So thanks for sharing your thoughts there. Lastly, BMI measurements in school. That one got some good discussion there too. So thoughts there. BMI testing is interesting, and a lot of you said it's not accurate, it's not accurate, it's not accurate. In kids, it's fairly accurate. So we have a different scale for kids than we do for adults. In adults, it can be a little tricky because we're dealing with more muscle mass, if you will, at this age. If we have a muscular adult, it's just a height to weight ratio, so it's not taking into account body composition. In little kids, it's more accurate because they haven't really developed that body composition that's going to make a huge difference. So if we're looking specifically at height to weight, and we have boys versus girls, we can kind of tell if a little kid is trending towards overweight or obesity. There was mention that, wouldn't you know if your kid is overweight? That's a good question and a good comment. Lots of people do not. Lots of cultures do not. So they are not paying attention to whether they think their kid is chubby or not, or it's not chubby in their culture. So that's not a red flag for them. Lots of parents don't have access to regular health care. So they're not going to a doctor that would bring attention to a child's BMI being high. So them doing it in school is another way to capture a population that might not be captured otherwise in a traditional healthcare system because they may not have access to healthcare. So I believe it should be private. I took BMI measurements across the whole Head Start population. And what we did there, it was all individual. Every kid was taken, and that measurement was 400 plus kids of BMI taking. All those were, private measurements. And then if a kid was trending towards overweight or obesity, those parents were contacted and nutrition education was given. So I think there's a delicate way to handle that. And to talk about it in a manner that is helpful rather than harmful to the family or to the child. And oftentimes then you can provide resources for the family because maybe they just don't have them, or they don't know, or they're not educated. So thoughts there. There's different perspectives on that for sure. I think if it's handled correctly, it can be helpful. Going into older adolescent years, at that point, then it becomes maybe a little trickier to not cause harm to the child because they're very aware of body image at that point. So it definitely needs to be something that's handled at a younger age. Okay, those are my thoughts there. All right, take care.